I'm Robin Gagnon.
And I'm Eric Gagnon, and we sell restaurants. We started the nation's largest restaurant brokerage firm, We Sell Restaurants, over a decade ago. You can find us online at WeSellRestaurants.com.
We're on the radio once a week with the leading authorities in the industry talking about those subjects trending in the restaurant business. Tweet your own questions on the topic while we're on the air to our Twitter handle, Sell Restaurants, or find us on Facebook at facebook.com/WeSellRestaurants. If we don't get to your question, we'll definitely follow up on social media.
Our goal is to satisfy your appetite for acquisition, feed the need for restaurant reality, and serve up a recipe for business success. If you have any ideas for our show or comments, you can email me. My email address is Eric, E-R-I-C, at WeSellRestaurants.com. Today's topic is going to be very interesting. We're going to talk about celebrity chefs and celebrity stardom in the restaurant scene.
So we're looking at the restaurant world through the lens of reality TV and all the other media forms, creating a celebrity environment around chefs in the restaurant industry. Think about it. The restaurant industry has shifted dramatically over the last decade as entertainment in America moved from situation comedies or sitcoms to reality TV. That's introducing a new element into the business as chefs seek to move from just being good on TV and being good on camera instead of just being good in the kitchen. Chefs now have publicists that book them for shows just like this one, and everyone's trying to break into the business.
And because of that, joining us today, we're going to have Chef Abraham Saloom, who is the chef and owner of Saloom and Komali Restaurant based in Dallas, Texas. Chef Abraham cooked at the Beard House in October of 2011 and has appeared at international invitation cooking events in Punta Mita, Barcelona, and Argentina. He has been recognized by Esquire magazine's food critic as leading the trend towards authentic, contemporary Mexican cuisine in the U.S. He is a graduate of the New England Culinary Institute. Chef just returned from cooking a Day of the Dead celebration dinner at New York's James Beard House. The dinner was attended by 16 members of the New York culinary media, and they gave rave reviews. Chef is a great example of one of those chefs forming an image around his name and working to get the media for his restaurant and himself personally as a brand.
We are also joined by Erica Magarel. Erica is a New York-based casting director specializing in unscripted reality-based television, digital media, and commercial. Her credits include Hell's Kitchen, The Real Housewives of New Jersey, Spike TV's Ink Masters, and Trading Spaces. Erica has a focus in development and enjoys finding unique characters in niche markets and creating concepts for exciting new television projects. Erica is currently the casting producer for Loud Television, a division of Left Field Pictures. Erica has a focus in development and has an exciting announcement for us today about a new show she is casting. Erica, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me, guys. Happy to be here.
Okay, Erica, let's start with you. You have a front row seat for restaurant chefs, those behind the scenes and in front of the camera trying to catch a break and land on TV. Tell us how it works. What's the role of a company like Live TV?
That's right. Well, Loud TV is a production company based in New York City, and we specialize in lifestyle television. Now, that can include anything from home design and decor and renovation to food. We are really excited to be launching a ton of new projects, many of which are related in the restaurant industry, and we're currently developing a show that we're calling Buying the Dream. It's a really unique perspective on folks entering the restaurant scene. We're focusing on people who are relocating because they want a lifestyle change, and a storyline that we are trying to develop right now. We want to find someone who's a first-time restaurant owner, and we want to find someone who's changing their location, changing their vocation, and buying their first restaurant.
That sounds so intriguing.
Yeah, all right, Chef. We did a pitch for today's show requesting celebrity chef, and your publicist replied to us with your bio and your information. And so how long do you have someone working to get media exposure for your brand? And also, do you feel like every chef today, whether they're local or regional or national, should have this kind of a person on their team? Is it their standard practice for chefs of today?
I think it is standard practice for chefs of today. Everything is so media driven, not only just social media, but print and TV and everything, that it is important to get your name out, because that's how people get a lot of their information. And it's still the best recommendation for a new restaurant or for a new restaurateur is always word of mouth. Obviously, somebody comes to your restaurant, enjoys it, and tells 10 people that they enjoyed it, and you get recognition. But yeah, having a publicist is important, and I think most chefs nowadays have one.
So, Erica, you mentioned, or actually the chef mentioned social media, and we took a look at your Twitter feed, and it's full of casting for lots and lots of reality shows at the same time. Are we ever going to get enough of this, or is the public's appetite for reality TV just still growing?
I think that people are always wondering, when is this reality TV bubble going to burst? And I think that that's a kind of a misled speculation, because what it really is that the medium is evolving. The medium is always changing. And I think that by definition, reality shows have been along a lot longer than people realize. I mean, game shows really kind of qualify in that category. So I don't think that the speculation that it's going to ever go away is really accurate. I think what it's going to do is evolve. And you've seen that happen today. We've gone from early programs like Top Chef that were really competition-driven to shows that are more character-driven and story-based, where you're going to be following the same restaurateur or chef in each episode. So I think that the market is evolving and really kind of making space for all different folks that have a role in this industry. I think that it's a great thing, and I don't think that it's going to go away per se. I think it's just going to continue to grow and evolve and change, and I think that the industry itself is going to evolve to meet that need.
That's very good information. Chef, let me ask you this. 15, 20 years ago, chef will be known for his restaurant, for his cooking, for his style, whether it's that Gordon Ramsay yelling at your staff in front of the diners, and people will enjoy that, or, the chef to be, walking around and shaking hands and waiting for dishes. Do you feel that there's now a pressure 15, 20 years later to be as good as you are in your kitchen and to be as good as you are today with a microphone? Is there a pressure now as a chef? Hey, I'm a chef. I'm a great cook, but I'm also have to be an excellent, person in front of a television camera or a microphone.
I think it really depends on the person. There are chefs, and it depends on your personality. There are people who are made for, whose personality is good for TV and to be in front of a microphone. And there's still people who don't like that and shy away from it. But I think there's plenty for both. And to what you were saying a minute ago about the reality shows, I think it's like she said, they're not going away. They're just evolving and they're changing. And we sometimes we see a reality show that a new reality show comes up, and it's the same concept of a type of competition that somebody else has done before, and then they come up with something different where it's more of a human interest instead of shock value. Of, instead of a chef screaming at somebody and yelling and throwing things, maybe this one is about helping somebody achieve something. So, I think it really depends on the character and the chef, and some will yell and scream and enjoy that and be part of the show, and some will kind of keep it quiet, and they might be good in their hometowns and get the name out in their hometowns and with what they do, doing charity work, doing a bunch of different things. But I think it depends on the personality.
Okay, so we're all thinking the same thing when you're saying in the kitchen and screaming and throwing things, and I heard a chuckle from Erica. Erica, you actually did some casting for Hell's Kitchen, so tell us, what's the behind-the-scenes look? What was it like finding chefs for that show? And is it your decision, or does Gordon Ramsay kind of get in the game actually late in the process to say, yes, this one or this one?
I think that, Gordon, has review. He's part of the process of review, but essentially the network and executive producers do make final casting decisions. I'm a foodie myself. I love cooking and eating as much as I love watching food-based television. So casting a show like Hell's Kitchen for me was super exciting. And it's funny that Chef here mentioned personality versus cuisine, because during that casting process, we actually don't eat the food. No, we don't. We don't eat the food. Not in the phase of casting that I participate in. What we really look for is the profile of the chef's experience, and the way that they market and describe their cuisine. More than that, because it is a competition, it is 100% personality driven. They want folks who can hold their own and who can carry themselves both with the other contestants and with Chef Ramsay. And they want chefs who can kind of carry the plot. With a competition show, it's very fast-paced, and you want to make sure that the interviews that you use to sort of break the time up and fill the time between the actual cooking and the competition elements are engaging. You don't want the viewer to change the channel just because someone's talking and not eating. So you want to make sure that folks have a healthy competitive spirit for a show like Hell's Kitchen, that they have a good sense of humor, and no pun intended here, but they can dish it out as well as take it. You want to make sure that someone has the personality to hold their own with Chef Ramsay, as well as the actual culinary chops. And during that screening process, we make sure that the folks that are part of the casting process really do have the credentials that they need. Even if we don't get to taste the flavor profiles, we know that they have the credentials.
That's great. Now, Chef, let me ask you this. You're in the Dallas market, and so you've got that brand that's local to the Dallas market. What are you doing to sort of expand that to a nationwide appeal and reach a larger group so you are of that celebrity chef stature and attract the eye of someone like Erica, by the way?
Right. Well, do things like attending the Beard House like I did a couple of weeks ago. That always gives you a little bit of exposure. And the other thing is, I think that there are certain things that are very there are certain cuisines that are very regional, and they don't work in every place, so it's a little hard to get your open a restaurant in a different market. You really have to know the market, and you guys know this very well. Buying and selling restaurants. Not everything works everywhere, and you try to get your name out by doing radio, by doing getting articles, about doing different things. For example, for me, with opening Comali and doing authentic Mexican cuisine and getting away from Tex-Mex that is very, very popular in Dallas, it's the restaurant that's gotten some attention. I've gotten some attention from it because it is completely different from what people call Mexican food here in Dallas. So you try to do what you can with the best you can with your abilities, and then try to show everybody and try to tell people that this is different and it's good, and it's good to try things.
I'm sorry. I'd like to add on that by saying that even if you don't have the personality, or if you're not outgoing enough, or not camera friendly, food-based reality programming really does afford opportunities even if you're off camera, because it gives exposure, just as Chef here was saying, to the regional cuisine and to these sort of niche cuisines. It really does launch food trends. Like, for example, molecular gastronomy just a few years ago, especially Wiley Dufresne here in New York, his brand really grew based on the use of molecular gastronomy techniques on Top Chef. And, the comfort food movement and the gastropub movement have been really huge because that's what Chef Ramsay does. So my advice for folks who want the level of exposure that you would get by doing a reality show but don't want to be on camera is to sort of look where those trends are and to really focus your menu and your marketing on those food trends, because the food itself and those genres get the exposure even if the chefs themselves don't. And you can see that trend growing here in New York with barbecue and comfort food. We've really sort of steered away from the Jean-Georges, nouveau French, very high-end cuisine, and more towards the down-home cooking, and I think TV has a big part to do with that.
Very true. It's also ethnic cuisines. I found last week in New York, I found the most amazing little Korean restaurant that does dumplings. They have 3 people in the front doing dumplings by hand, and they were the most amazing dumplings I've ever had. And probably 15 years ago, we would have seen those dumplings and go, no, that's only it's an ethnic cuisine, and we don't touch that. We're not used to it. now we're craving things like that, and that's a big part of it. A big part of the movement in the culinary world is thanks to the reality TV, and we have to accept that.
So, Erica, I know you have a specific project on your plate right now that you have touched base with us on, which is this Buying the Dream. So, tell us a little bit about who should reach out to you if they believe that they would fit the storyline. How do they reach out to you, and what would then be the process for them to actually land on a show?
Thanks for asking, Robin. So Buying the Dream is not just about the restaurant industry, but it's about lifestyle changes in general. We're hoping that this show will air in a format where it will be different storylines in each episode as opposed to following the same characters in every episode. And we're looking at anything from moving from an urban environment to a farm to, as we discussed earlier, starting new and potentially risky businesses. And that's why restaurants fit so well, because it's very fast-paced and high pressure. What we really want to see is the transition that people go through. So we are looking for people who are in the process of purchasing their restaurant and relocating, or folks who are within their first year of operation. We are only considering people who have changed locations, so moved a good distance, and we are the bonus would be a first-time restaurant owner, because again, the theme here is the lifestyle change and transition. But if it's someone who's moving to a really drastically different location and they've owned a restaurant before, that works for us too. We're accepting submissions via email right now, so if anyone is interested, they can send me an email with their contact information and a little background on their story, where they've relocated from, when, and where they either have or are planning on relocating to. And then we'll reach out, and there's a very quick and easy application process. We host our applications online to make it really easy for our participants. There are about 10 questions that you fill out, and then you return that with some photos. We create a profile, and we get some feedback from our production executives as to whether or not they'd like to see these folks on camera. Now, technology has been a good friend of ours through this process, and we are able to do on-camera interviews now remotely through Skype. So it's a very non-invasive and easy process during this development stage for the folks that want to be considered. We can do it all from your own home in your sweatpants if you want. And hopefully you folks can post the casting information on your social media. But if anyone would like more information, they're also welcome to email me. Bear with me. It's kind of a long email address. But I can be reached at Erica, that's ERICA, .Magaril, that's MAGARIL, at loudtelevision.com.
Okay, so if you're driving down the road, do not worry, because we're going to cross-post this on our website, on our blog, and on all our forms of social media. So drive safely, and we will make sure that we cross-publicize that email address so you can get your information directly to Erica, and we can see you on national TV, because that sounds so exciting.
Yeah, and
Thanks, guys. Can't thank you enough for sharing this information. It's such a great show, and we're really hoping to get some great stories.
good. And it could be national or international. Would be somebody, I'm thinking big of you said such a big thing about lifestyle. It could be somebody living in Chicago moving to the Middle East, for instance.
Our crew right now is just national. However, if they're moving from, say, London to Atlanta, that works for us. We just don't have the permissions to film overseas at this time.
Okay.
Maybe season 2.
Perfect. You're right. Chef, quick question for you. We see a lot of restaurants, the fame of some celebrity chef already, like Emerald and Cat Cora and people like that have many, many locations, many restaurants, and they are attached to their names. And unfortunately, we all know that you can't be at all the restaurants at the same time. So how is the challenge, because the love of cooking, because that's the first thing all of you have is the love of cooking, and the challenge of being in these restaurants, and we've seen stories from media outlets about, hey, there's an Emerald restaurant in this town, and Emerald hasn't been here in 6 months. And how do you manage and cope with that and be able to fulfill that expectation from the public?
I think it all has to do with the staff that you hire, and having capable people. But yeah, I only have two restaurants, and the two restaurants are side by side. So my idea was, if I open a second restaurant, it has to be close so I can be at both places at once. Well, I can't be at both places at once, even if they're side by side. But at least I'm close. I'm within walking distance. But I think it's just based on the people the team that you assemble and the menus you put together, that they're easy to execute again and again in different locations by different people, because we all have different tastes and we all have different ways of cooking, but everything has to be so standardized and work seamlessly. You have to go to one place in New Orleans and another place in New York and be able to get a good meal in both.
Okay, so Erica, you shared a lot about this new project, Buying the Dream, but what if somebody listening has a brilliant idea for a show and they haven't yet seen it on the big screen? Can they reach out to you with ideas about that as well? Do you accept just helpful advice from the public?
Yes, 100%. I really do have a passion for development, and Loud is a company that's certainly growing their slate, and there's just a lot of different avenues in terms of development that folks can take, and I'm happy to advise. This is what I do, this is what I love, and the culinary space is something that I really enjoy and feel really passionate about. So if someone has a great idea or thinks that they have what it takes to be the next Anne Burrell or Bobby Flay, then they're welcome to share their thoughts with me, and we can see what the options are. But I would say that you never know what the future will bring, especially with something as fickle as the TV market. And you should never pass up what you think could be an opportunity. And if you think that you have a great idea or something to offer, then go for it. And if not with me, with someone else, there's tons and tons of resources for reality producers through social media, through LinkedIn, and even just by doing basic searches for production companies in your area. As the market grows, the independent production companies grow as well, and it's not as localized to New York and LA as it used to be. So there's opportunities out there everywhere for everyone.
Okay, so you heard it here with the Restaurant Brokers, and I want you to stay tuned because we're coming back with a second segment. We want to take a moment and thank one of our sponsors, today's restaurant, the Food Service Industry newspaper. They are the trade newspaper for the food service industry in Georgia and Florida, and have positioned themselves as a total marketing solution to sell a service or product for a restaurant in Georgia or Florida. Remember, you are listening to Eric and Robin Gagnon. We are the Restaurant Brokers. Take a moment, like us on Facebook, find us on Twitter at Sell Restaurants, and of course, we're on LinkedIn and on our powerhouse website, WeSellRestaurants.com. You're listening to Eric and Robin Gagnon. We'll return after the break, where we talk celebrity and the restaurant industry.